Welcome to Module 3. In this module, we will explore some additional classroom management strategies that can be used in the classroom. You may want to have pen and paper handy in order to take notes during the lessons in this module. The first lesson is on how to effectively use the timeout strategy in your classroom. Objective. Teachers will review the various forms of timeout that can be used to manage student behavior. Why use timeout? Timeout gives students a chance to cool down, recognize and fix mistakes, and rebuild internal control over their own behavior. There are times when a student's behavior disrupts the learning environment. When this happens, the student may need to be temporarily removed from the classroom. When to use timeout? Send students to timeout at the first sign of misbehavior, before things get out of control and before anyone gets frustrated. How often and how many? Timeout might be used multiple times a day. More than one student may be sent to timeout. Make sure you have more than one seat in timeout. Remind students that timeout is everywhere and there is always a space to get yourself together. Let's explore 3 timeout strategies. Number 1, non-exclusionary. The child being disciplined remains in the setting at his or her desk with others, but does not interact with them. At the same time, the teacher directs the other students to ignore the student until the student learns the appropriate behavior. Once the student's behavior improves, the class can give social reinforcement in the form of attention. For example, if a student constantly acts out during a teacher's lecture, the teacher can give the child a non-exclusionary timeout, directing him or her to remain seated and not participate in class discussion until called on at the end of the timeout period. Consequently, the child observes the appropriate demeanor of classmates who ignore his or her inappropriate behavior until it ceases. Number 2 is exclusion. The student must leave the setting where they misbehaved. The student leaves their desk and is told to sit in another area of the room. And finally, the student is still required to finish the assignment while in timeout. This is the more traditional form of timeout that many teachers and parents use. In this way, the student can observe what is taking place in the class from a distance and model the on-task behaviors of his or her classmates. An example of exclusion would be if the teacher tells a student to leave his or her desk and go to another section of the room. This placement helps other students to stay on task and avoid any prolonged disruption caused by the student who is behaving badly. Most teachers require students in exclusion to do class assignments at timeout desks where they can focus on being efficient. Number 3, isolation. The student is sent out of the room to another location, such as a supervised timeout room. The minimum duration is 15 minutes. The maximum duration is an hour. The location may also be with another teacher. Send work with students to complete and keep them occupied. Here are a few additional timeout tips. Remember that timeout is for everyone. Any student that does something that warrants a trip to timeout should be sent to the timeout area. Don't give out a free pass to students who rarely misbehave. It sends the wrong message to everyone, including the student who misbehaved. Finally, make sure parents understand the purpose of timeout. Parents should understand how timeout is used. They should know it is a part of your classroom management plan. Be sure to emphasize what it is for and that it applies to every student in your class.